Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Cameron. How are we doing today? So if you guys see that I still got the same makeup, same outfit, same everything, it's because that video you guys are probably gonna watch either before or after this video, I filmed it within 5 minutes of each other. So yeah, here we are filming video number 2 of the day, and it's only 11:15. Who is this girl? We need her to stay. We need her to stay. So it is now the month of May. It is May 1st. How are we doing? I think it's the 1st. It's the 2nd. Oh my gosh. So for the month of April, I read 8 books and I'm super proud of myself. I'm extremely proud of myself. I was gonna read for 9, but I finished one on May 1st. So technically it's gonna be the first book I read for May. Whatever, that's fine. But I just wanted to come on here and talk to you guys about the 8 books that I read for the month of April, and I'm super excited to tell you guys about these books because I liked most of the books that I read except for one. It was a little weird. Maybe 2. Yeah, they were a little weird, but I'm gonna talk to you guys about them anyways because they were still pretty good to where somebody out there might like it. My cheeks are so sore because I've just been smiling and talking so much because I'm just so excited. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first book that I read for the month of April, it is Lore Olympus. So this book, it is by Rachel Smith, and it is about Hades and Persephone, the 2 lovers, and it gives it like a more modern day aspect. So what I really liked about this book, it is so funny, it is so sarcastic, and it's just so spunky. So if you guys know the story about Hades and Persephone, this is just a modern retelling of it, and it is so cute. I don't want to say how like they ended up getting together because it's going to ruin some of the story, but Persephone ends up having to go to Hades' house, and he just falls in love with just her sweet and quiet demeanor and her hair, you guys. I want her hair. But it was a super cute and imaginative story, and I'm going to post a couple of the pictures here and there so you guys can see what I'm talking about when it comes to the artwork of this book. The artwork though, chef's kiss. Super gorgeous. And what I really liked about this is even though there's not too much dialogue, you can still understand the story fully, 100% understand it. So that's what I like about the book, is that the pictures literally tell 1,000 words in this book, to where you really don't even need to read the dialogue. You can just look at the pictures and know what's happening and know what it means. So I'm super excited for the 2nd and 3rd book to come out because it was just so cute. It was so cute and I'm so obsessed with it. So Olympus Lore by Rachel Smith is one of the books I read for April. So the next book I read was Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. So this book, it is about a girl named Georgina Shaw, and she is on trial for the murder of her best friend Angela Wong. But she's not the only one on trial. Her boyfriend Calvin James is also on trial for the actual murder, and Georgina is just going away as an accessory. So it is now 14 years later, and Angela Wong's body has finally been recovered, and they finally figure out what happened to her. So Georgina, she goes away to prison for her part in the murder, and Calvin also goes away because he is also a serial killer, and Angela was just one of his victims. So like I said, Georgina knew what happened to her best friend. She goes to jail for it, but there's more to it than she's letting on, and she refuses to tell anyone. So as we go along with this book, we start to see the secrets of Georgina and also Calvin start to seep out and really come out to light. And this book, I don't know, I didn't give it a rating because I did not know how to rate this book. It was so difficult to read because it gave really terrible descriptions of the rape and assault of some of these women in this book, and it was just unnecessarily descriptive in some parts to where it was just too much. My mind didn't need to visualize some of the things that happened, and it was tough. It was a very tough to read. So do I recommend that other people read this book? I don't know. I'm not going to say yes and I'm not going to say no, because there were some parts of the book that I did really like as far as the mystery of it, but it's just, I didn't need to know how someone was assaulted. I didn't need to know that it was glistening in the light after he did, like, no. It was interesting. The plot line was interesting, and I feel like the author really could have made the point known without some of those details, because that just threw me off. It threw me off. It put me off. It was very difficult. So Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier is one of the books that I read for April. So the next book that I read, it was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. So I wasn't a huge fan because some of the bullying scenes in this book, I was like, what the actual heck is what's happening? What is happening? Why is this happening? It was basically, it was giving me Jar of Hearts vibes, but not as graphic, but still kind of just like, what? Why? So I'm gonna read the synopsis for this book for you if you have not read it. It is a little bit difficult for me to explain, so that's why I'm just gonna read you the synopsis. It says, Jude was 7 when her parents were murdered, and she and her 2 sisters were stolen away to live in the treacherous high court of Fae. 10 years later, Jude wants nothing more than to belong there despite her mortality. But many of the Fae despise humans, especially Prince Carden, the youngest and wickedest son of the High King. To win a place at the court, she must defy him and face consequences. As Jude becomes more deeply embroiled in palace intrigues and deceptions, she discovers her own capacity for trickery and bloodshed. But as betrayal threatens to drown the courts of Fae in violence, Jude will need to risk her life in dangerous alliances to save her sisters and Fae itself. So, honestly, that description is probably the best I can give you. I know it's not much, but the book was pretty confusing. There were some parts where, like, to me, Jude is not my girl. Jude is not my girl. To be honest, Jude caused more problems than she was solving them. And I was just like, girl, if I could take you out myself, I would. I tried. I promise you I tried. But I just feel like Jude, the main character, for me, she just created way too many problems. And everything was fine before she started putting her little hands in it. But that is just me. That is just me. I'm just telling you because it's a book that I tried in the month of April. Will I be continuing the series? I don't know. I might. Just because I already, for me, once I start a series, I hate not finishing it. But because it's just such an easy read, I probably will continue it. I'm gonna go to Barnes & Noble and probably pick up the second book. Will I like it? I don't know. Did I like the first one? Not really. But I gave it a shot. So, The Cruel Prince by Holly Black is one of the books I read for April. So the next book, it is a middle grade book by Delilah S. Dawson, and it is called Mine. So this book, it is about a main character named Lily Horne. She is a drama queen. She loves theater. She loves drama. She loves giving everybody a show. But when one of her drama queen antics and makes her entire family have to pick up and move to another town, her parents are over it. They're over it. They're just like, we just need you to just be quiet and stay in the house and don't get into any trouble, or you're not going to be able to sign up for drama class when you go to school. So she's like, okay, fine. So they pick up and move to this very derelict house. You know, shutters are falling off. The person who lived there was a hoarder, and they got a lot of stuff that they just need to clean out. And as they're cleaning the house, secrets are starting to come out from underneath all of the junk. Lily decides to make the upstairs bedroom hers, and as she is cleaning this bedroom, she realizes that another girl used to live there, and it's very apparent that the younger girl is no longer living. And as Lily is cleaning out things, she's starting to discover bits and pieces of the young girl's life before her, and she's also starting to see the words mine showing up on her bathroom window, and dirt all over her bed, and mysterious dreams happening where she is just out and about in the bayou and coming back covered in mud and water. So she enlists one of her new friends for help in discovering who this young girl was and why she is haunting and torturing Lily. I just feel so bad for Lily in this book because it's very obvious that she does not have a good relationship with her father. Her father in this book, he was just so horrible to her. He was very abusive to Lily and her mother in this book, and even though he was not physically abusive, he was verbally, emotionally, and mentally abusive, and it was very, very difficult to read because she's a child. This girl is a child, and her father's calling her a drama queen, looking at her with hatred and disgust. And when you find out the reason why they had to move, it really wasn't even her fault. And the fact that this man is just treating her like absolute garbage over something that was not even her fault, that bothered me to no extent. And you can just see like the fear of her mother having to basically explain things that are happening in the house to her father, and how her mother is super stressed out because Lily keeps, she's not even doing it on purpose, but the haunting is causing her father to lash out even more, and her mother and Lily are kind of just trying to just stay quiet, stay out of his way. So that was a little bit difficult to read, but I really enjoyed the book. It really gave me that genuine haunting that I crave. You know, the writings on the wall, the dreams, the voices in the head, that is the kind of haunting that I want, and I got it. So I was super happy with this book. Still hate the dad, he's a jerk, but you know, in the end it all worked out and Lily's family was still together. So I really appreciated that book, that Lily stood her ground with her father and made sure that I'm not a liar. This is what's happening. Either you believe me or you don't. So the next book that I read that has been on my TBR for so long, and I don't know why I didn't read it because it was amazing, and it is The Haunting of Evelyn Jones by Phil Hicks. So this book, it is about our girl Evelyn Jones. Her mother is going to go help her sick grandmother in another part of town. So Evelyn is getting dropped off at her aunt's spooky house, and her aunt is very prim and proper, is a very logical woman, and Evelyn just has to spend a couple days with her. So as Evelyn is living with her aunt for the time being, she goes to this mysterious library book where she meets Harold and Mr. Penn. I can never pronounce his name. It's Penn something. Penn something. He has this beautiful bookstore, and Evelyn goes and she purchases a book, and it has a mysterious name in it called Primrose Penberthy. So Evelyn is super interested in who Primrose was, because whenever she brings up the name, everybody in town starts to get a little weird. They start getting a little quiet, a little bit elusive. So Evelyn's like, what's the deal? But as Evelyn is going about town, she's trying to figure out what happened to Primrose, but Evelyn could possibly be the next target victim of this wailing woman who could have possibly taken Primrose. So I thought this book was super amazing. 10 out of 10. I gave it a 5 stars because this book reminds me of Coraline, but a little bit older. But this book, I was getting genuine goosebumps from it, and I loved this book because Evelyn is a smart girl. She is a smart cookie, and I loved how good and how quick she was getting like the rhymes of riddles and the facts that were getting thrown at her. She was getting it so quick. And this book is also a series. I just finished the second book of Evelyn Jones, and that is going to be in my May wrap up. But I'm so excited because there's going to be a third book coming out called The Vanishing of Evelyn Jones. I think it comes out in October. I'm super excited for it. So I really hope it's going to be on NetGalley for an arc because I would love to read it. The Haunting of Evelyn Jones is one of the books I read and loved for the month of April. The next book that I read for the month of April, it is The Girl in White by Lindsay Currie. So I want to read the synopsis for you guys so you guys get an even bigger picture of what the book is about. Mallory hasn't quite adapted to her new life in the town of Eastport yet. Maybe it's because everyone is obsessed with keeping the town's reputation as one of the most haunted places to visit. And thanks to the nightmares she's had since arriving, Mallory is having a hard time sleeping, combined with the unsettling sensation of being watched and losing chunks of time. She's worried that maybe the ghost stories she's been quick to dismiss might actually be real. When Mallory has a terrifying encounter with the same woman from her dreams, she's not sure what to do. With Eastport gearing up to celebrate the anniversary of their first recorded legend, Mallory is forced to investigate the one legend she's always secretly been afraid of, Sweet Molly. So I read this book and I thought it was amazing. I love Lindsay Currie. I've read several of her books if you've seen any of my previous middle grade videos, but this book definitely gives you that middle grade haunting, that adventure. You get them running around town, there's lightning, there's boats rocking, it's just a lot. And there's a lot of adventure. So I really loved it. And also her dad has the cutest with his restaurant, like the bloody lasagna, casket shaped cookies and waffles and pancakes. It is just so cute, and I just love that about him because he just has like all these creations. So I just thought it gave the character a little bit more depth and look into her family life, which I thought was super cute. super adorable, and I loved it. The Girl in White by Lindsay Curie is one of the books I read for April. The next book that I read, it is The Resting Place by Camilla Sten. So this book, it is about our main character named Eleanor, and Eleanor has a very rare condition called prosopagnosia. So basically what that is, it is a person's inability to recognize a familiar person's face. So basically she can see a person 100 times and still not recognize them, which is a super rare condition. It is not a very known condition, but I learned a lot about it after reading this book. So we have the main character Eleanor, who has this condition, and she walks in on her grandmother Vivian's murder, but she sees the killer and she doesn't recognize them. So she is not able to identify the killer. She's not able to tell them any kind of information. So after that event has happened, a lawyer calls her and tells her, hey, you're on Vivian. She left you a house, this estate, and she's left you a bunch of stuff. I need you to come and help me sort this out so we can divide up the property and do what we gotta do. So Eleanor brings along her boyfriend and also brings along her Aunt Veronica to help her. And her Aunt Veronica, let's just say this now, she is not a nice person. She's very, very mean. She loves the liquor, and you read a lot about that in the book. But she brings her along and they start to divvy up the property. They start reading a lot of letters, and as they're reading some letters and getting things settled, things are happening. So first off, there is this housekeeper that is supposed to be there. He's like a groundsman. He's the one that told them to come. They can't find him. They don't know where he's at. They haven't heard of him, but they see signs of a person in the property. So they're thinking like, this guy's just walking around and we just happen to keep missing him as we're going along the house. But then a storm rolls in. They are stuck in this house, and some of their stuff is going missing, and they are starting to learn a lot more about Vivian and her past that really she didn't want letting out. So this book was the epitome of a psychological thriller, because it's just, you would never think what happens would actually ever happen. Now, granted, this is a fictional book, so it might not ever happen, but this book, whoa. I listened to the audiobook of this, which by far is way better than reading the physical book. Just saying, listen to the audiobook first because it's great. So The Resting Place by Camilla Sten is one of the books that I loved and read for the month of April. So the last book that I read for the month of April, it is Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. So this book, it is another book that is not yet released and was sent to me by Tor Books and also Sarah Gailey. So thank you so much for letting me read and review this book for you. So I'm gonna read the synopsis for you guys because, like I said, because it's an arc, I want you guys to get the full gist of what the story is about. It says, come home. Vera's mother called and Vera obeyed. In spite of their long estrangement, in spite of the memories, she's come back to the home of a serial killer. Back to face the love she had for her father and the bodies buried there. Coming home is hard enough for Vera, and to make things worse, she and her mother aren't alone. A parasitic artist has moved into the guest house out back and is slowly stripping away Vera's childhood for spare parts. He insists that he isn't the one leaving notes around the house in her father's handwriting, but who else could it possibly be? There are secrets yet undiscovered in the foundation of the notorious Crowder house, and Vera must face them and find out for herself just how deep the rot goes. So when I was reading this book, I did give it 3 stars because I felt like a lot of what was going on was just condensed into Vera's childhood bedroom. We did not really get a lot of things happening outside of there. It was just everything was in the room. And I felt a little bit claustrophobic when I was reading the book. We really didn't get much of her father and what he did. We got little bits and pieces there, but it was really mostly about Vera and something that she was experiencing underneath her childhood bed. I really did like the haunting aspect of the book. I really did like how we got to see Vera's childhood with her father and the relationship with her father and how it affected the relationship with her mother. I wanted a little bit more facts about the father and things that he did because we really didn't get that much from it. But while it was not my favorite book, it was still something that was interesting. So do I think you guys should read it? Absolutely. I definitely think it's something that you guys should read. If you guys want to read this book, it is coming out, I believe, in the month of June or July. I'm going to put when it comes out in here somewhere. So Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey is the last book that I read for the month of April. All right, you guys, that is it. That is all of the books that I read for the month of April. I really did enjoy some of the books that I read for this month. Some of them were not my favorite, but you know what I might not like, somebody else might like. So if it's something that you're interested in, definitely give it a try. Just remember that every Wednesday we have our reading sprints at 6 p.m. So if you want to come and join me and the rest of the gang, you are more than welcome to come and join us. I love you all so much. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.